Hey everybody, this is Coach Coventry here from Immaculata once again, representing the OHSF All-Decade team. We have today with us an important fullback, whoever has since transitioned to O-line, but we recognize him on this list as a fullback, and I'll let him introduce himself. Take it away.
Hey guys, my name is Liam Dobson. I attended St. Mark High School from kind of 2012 until I'd say 2015. When I transitioned to a prep school. But at my time at St. Mark's, my freshman year was my first real year playing football. I had lots of good influences going into that year. My dad was a teacher at the school who coached junior football for a number of years and was also a football player himself growing up. But just him playing and him coaching had a big influence on me,
Yeah.
Also through that coaching, I met a lot of the high school coaches like Mr. Brown, who's since retired, but was a big influence for me. Mr. Castellarin, Mr. Ireland, who are all coaches now, had big influences on me as well.
Yeah, for sure. And that's real good. And, like those guys are people that we're talking about in high school. But I'd love to, even before getting into the high school, I'd love for you to talk about, your dad, of course, being on the staff must have been a huge influence for you even taking up the sport. And where you ended up as a youth, any coaches from there playing club ball or even some people that influenced you to even get into the sport?
Yeah, I remember growing up, my daddy was coaching JDP, like junior player development. And, I just remember him getting me shorts from that. And I was rocking them every day. They were red with the logo on the side. And they ended up having holes in them, but I was still wearing them I kind of just remember loving football, seeing him carry the ball bags out, being super hyped about that, just picking the ball up and throwing it around when he was on the sidelines. I also remember, I believe it was him, me and my dad, and Coach Brown went to a coach's clinic in Indiana, and he brought me back a Notre Dame football T-shirt. So I would wear that every day too, just loving the culture of football and all the swag that came with it, like the T-shirts and shorts. And I remember him going on a St. Mark's does an exchange with Terry Fox football in British Columbia. So I remember him going on those trips when he was coaching with Paul Brown, and when it was my turn. So the summer going into grade 9, it was my turn for football exchange. So I just remember getting ready for that and heading out west. So that was an awesome experience as well, going into freshman year.
That's amazing. And that's a very unique situation that St. Mark has. Not too many schools can, take credit to being able to go on exchange and even just exchange East Coast and Central Canadian culture and also the football styles. Because as we know, they play 4 downs over there in the West. So it kind of gives you some different perspective as well, right?
Yeah, and that's great. I feel like that's part of the reason I did end up wanting to pursue American football as well in the end. But I mean, just going out there, seeing a different set of rules, kind of like the rules you see in the NFL, which you watch every Sunday. Well, I mean, I watch every Sunday, big football guy, but end up watching that on TV. And then even just the cultural stuff out there. I remember that was the first time I ever saw a whale, going out there because we whale watched, and we did all sorts of stuff out there besides football, which was awesome as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I'd love for you to continue to talk about your time at St. Mark's. Now, you were there from grades 9 to 11, so that would have been 2012 to 2014, 15 before heading out to the prep school that you were at. However, talk to us about that time and transitioning from a couple of positions eventually to fullback, and who you played with, maybe some names, some coaches that really influenced you along the way, and just having some fun playing high school ball.
I remember freshman year, so grade 9 in 2012, I was still real new at football, really raw. I was kind of just trying to develop. I was playing lots of line, both sides of the ball, O and D, and just trying to learn. Coach Castellan was kind of coaching me up, giving me some tips and pointers from back when in his day when he was playing O-line. And one guy who I kind of looked up to a little bit was Grady Campbell, because he was an older offensive lineman there and kind of We had some similarities, and he ended up after that year, he ended up going to a prep school. But I kind of wanted to play like him, you know, because he was the older guy going away, having success with football. So freshman year, he was really who I kind of looked up to on the playing field. And then obviously with my dad working at the school and coaching with Mr. Brown before, I had a lot of respect for Mr. Brown, Mr. Steller, and Mr. Kelly as well, just kind of guys who have been there and had a lot of success with the program. So obviously it was kind of an honor because St. Mark's had lots of success with football in the past. So just to be able to play for them was pretty cool. And then, I mean, going into sophomore year, so 2013, I was looking forward to having a fun season, but I ended up breaking, I think it was a bone in my thumb is what the conclusion was, the scaphoid. And I mean, the doctors advised me not to play. And so, I mean, I wasn't huge into football at that point. So I was like, okay, it's probably best if I don't play. So didn't end up playing that season. But I
But you
got
did,
invited
but you did end up at the AllStar Game, however, just as from an experience, and clearly your reputation as an O lineman, D lineman preceded you with the ability to even get invited to that with missing a varsity season, right? So.
And I ended up going to that game, and I won Defensive Player of the Game. So that was an honor, and it was just overall a great experience. Throughout that week, going to Carleton University to practice, and some of the players coaching you up was a real cool experience. I remember Stephen Carty. I mean, we follow each other on Twitter still. That relationship's still there a little bit. So it was like a very cool experience as a young football player to be able to go to your local university and be around the players. So even though I didn't get to play that year, I still had a great learning experience through being with the AIA All-Star team and all the talented players that were on the roster as well as the Carleton University football team.
Mm-hmm. It's a pretty unique experience, that AIA game, for those who get to go. Now, the league is kind of transitioning from AIA, and we're actually trying to bring it back with Ottawa versus Carleton, and actually getting to where picking sides basically, and moving from there. But a pretty unique experience getting to move and play with guys that are of equal caliber as you, and coming out as a varsity player of the game after breaking his thumb for the whole year is no small feat. But that, of course, led to bigger things in grade 11. You finally got back into the game, and tell us where that led you.
So after that game, obviously I had lots of success there. And then second semester, I had a math class with Mr. Castellarin, who is also one of the coaches of the football team. And he was asking me about my ACTs, SATs. If I've started preparing, I was kind of like, what do you mean? Like ACT, SAT, what are those? Like, and he's like, oh, well, you want to play football in college, right? I was like, yeah, like I do. He's like, American? I was like, yeah, I'd love to. He goes, well, this is something you need to do if you want to play American football. So kind of second semester, my sophomore year, that's when it came to my attention. And obviously I didn't take it too seriously, because I thought I still had time. And then I played the next year, I played my junior season at St. Mark's. So that would have been 2014, and had lots of success. And this is the year I transitioned to fullback, and I was still playing D tackle. So this is the year that made me the nomination. And I mean, I love playing fullback for Coach Brown and Coach Castellarin. I wish you guys gave me the ball in more than just one game, but I guess that was enough. But I had lots of fun fullback. I mean, it was just a lot of fun, especially with the Canadian rules where you can have more guys in motion at the snap of the ball and just be able to run around and utilize the extra space on the field.
And if we have a look at that highlight tape, I mean, it's Pancake City. It's no joke. With some of those first clips, you're taking guys off screen. Do you have any memorable plays that you remember? Like, is there a one play that really sticks out in your mind that has you, thinking, yeah, that's, I really enjoyed playing that fullback position at that time?
There was two plays that stick out. One was the like 45-yard, 50-yard touchdown right up the middle on a fullback dive. I mean, that was like my longest touchdown run ever. So, I mean, obviously you can't forget that. That was exciting. But then there was one play on we were playing at Lansdowne. I believe it was against Ashbury. and I kind of motion out, I'm going to crack the corner, and the corner's covering like Cole Hager at the time, and it was a little like bubble screen almost. So I come out and I miss him, and there's like a swarm, and Cole Hager's like juking out all these guys as I'm kind of like running back to help, and then he breaks it, and then he starts taking it up the sideline. So I'm kind of running sideways, and I just one arm punch a guy in the chest, and I knock him back, and Cole runs for about a 40-yard touchdown. So that might be one of my favorite plays as a fullback. That wasn't a touchdown.
But I mean, if you look at that, I'm pretty sure that one's on the tape as well. And you're pretty much stride for stride with that guy. And so if you want to talk dominant athletes, like no joke, Mr. Dobson, you were up there. Watching you crash that hole was I was really impressed looking at that tape. And clearly, it rubbed off as you went on to Canada Prep and transitioning back into that O-line position where you need to be aggressive going forward, right?
Yeah, no doubt. No, I mean, Mr. Costello, I think he saw that would help me in the future, especially because I think in the inside I knew I would end up as an O lineman, and I think he did as well, even though I was playing D line at the time. And kind of he was the person who pushed me to take the next steps to go to a prep school, even though we both knew it would kind of suck me leaving St. Mark's just on a personal level because we had a good relationship with each other. And we both knew I helped out the team. But, I mean, I feel like me and him both came to the conclusion that if I wanted to play American football, that I need to take that next step, and kind of that's what I did. I ended up going to Canada Prep Academy in my true senior year. So that would have been 2015, sorry. And I was playing there for as a defensive tackle. A lot of people might know that name because another Ottawa native, Neville Gallimore, went there. Plays with the Dallas Cowboys. He had a lot of success there, but it was a great school where we went down and we got to play against American competition, which was great for me because that helps with a lot of U.S. exposure, which is something that I was trying to achieve. And every weekend we pack our bags and we head down to Ohio or Connecticut, sometimes Indiana, and play nationally ranked teams. And for me, that was a great experience. Taking my game from playing lots of talented players in Ottawa to playing some of the best nationally ranked teams in the U.S., which was a great step for improving my recruitment. And then I remembered the conversation me and Mr. Costello had about my ACTs, SATs. So this is when I really started to take them seriously, and I was studying for those. And I didn't end up doing too well on the first one, but I ended up playing I took the test during the season. And then after that first season there, I went back to St. Mark for second semester. And then obviously graduated. But I needed to get my 16 core courses for the NCAA.
Yeah. And take us through that process. I mean, for those guys, those student athletes that are listening to this, wanting to go next level in the American route, how important is the NCAA clearinghouse, the ACTs, the SATs, and how did your recruiting process go from there, and where that led you to?
Yeah, so going into, like I said, kind of halfway through my sophomore year, Mr. Costello brought it up to me, and in Ontario we have the applied and academic routes, or we did when I was going to school. And for NCAA athletes or aspiring NCAA athletes, you want to take those academic routes, especially in English, math, and science, because the NCAA requires 16 courses, 4, I believe, at the English level, 4 at the math level, 4 at the science level, and then 4 kind of electives, so free classes. And those can be like history classes, geography, stuff like that. But you want to make sure you get 4 of each. So that's kind of 1 at each level. So 1 at grade 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's the key, because if you go through high school and you're not accumulating those classes, kind of like I was, you'll need an extra year to get them. And you could end up with a very tough schedule, or not even being able to take all the classes because there'll be conflict schedules. So those courses, taking them throughout high school is very important, as well as studying for the ACT, SAT. And really the ACT, SAT is just like a big test. Everyone gets freaked out about it, but if you just relax, you know your stuff, you've studied, you'll have success. I ended up actually, after my second test, when I didn't stress about it too much, I ended up qualifying for the Ivy Leagues. So that's if I can accomplish that, anybody can accomplish that. So just knowing that you can take that test and do well, as well as having your 16 core courses, that is the stuff that you need for the clearinghouse, and being registered for the clearinghouse as soon as possible is extremely important, because that's how NCAA coaches track your eligibility. So if you want to take a peek at that, I think you just look up NCAAclearinghouse.com, and then you plug in all your information. You have to make an account. I'm not sure if it costs anything, but you just make an account and plug all your information in. We'll give you step-by-step guides too of how to plan your classes, take all that stuff. So if that's something that you're interested in, I highly recommend looking at that.
For sure. And then, going into that, of course, you hadn't committed to any school yet. What was the process once you've cleared the house and, recruiting is open at this point, as they call it? How would you, what was your process going into recruiting? What were you thinking of? What was important to you? And how did you end up picking the University of Maine?
Yeah, that's a bit of a story. I mean, going in my true senior year in 2015, I had a couple options, but I decided to go back to Canada Prep in hopes that I'd get somewhere a little bit bigger, not necessarily bigger, but somewhere I felt more comfortable at. And so I went back, and we ended up, I was still a D tackle, didn't play most of the season due to injury, and then came back, and I played in the last 4 games. And I mean, I had a couple offers still, which ended up getting pulled due to academic stuff. UNH was one, Fordham was one, Syracuse was one, to name a few.
So it just goes to show you got to keep those grades in order, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I played the last 4 games, but that's when Jeff MacArthur, the head coach at Canada Prep, at the time suggested that we switch me to O-line, because there is a guy who quit, and so we're kind of short on the O-line. And obviously, I wanted us to keep playing, so I made the switch and played pretty well. And then after the season, there was no need for me to be at, because I was finished school. There's no need for me to be at Canada Prep, because I was done with my academics. So I went home, and I was working, just waiting for a call, looking at CIS schools, because at the time I couldn't go anywhere in the States. So I was looking at the CIS route, and then I got a call from Coach Jeff, and he's saying, there's 3 schools who want to come see you. But at the time I had my arm in a cast.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, no, like a couple of these schools are not going to be interested. I go up, the first 2 obviously aren't interested. And coach, they're FBS teams. And then the next day, Coach Jeff's like, oh, well, we have Maine coming. I know it's not really what you want, but maybe stick around. So I stuck around, and Coach Denicky showed up. We had a great conversation, built like a great relationship right there, I feel like. And he offered me a half scholarship on the spot. And then a few weeks later, I went on my official visit to UMaine, met the rest of the staff, toured campus, and then kind of that's that. And I ended up committing to the University of Maine, I think 2 days after I got home from my visit. And then I showed up to Maine to start my career here kind of mid-July in 2017. And, kind of just took off from there, learning from I've fully made the switch to O-line, so I was an O-lineman at this point. So I made the switch and learning from guys. One guy's currently in the NFL, Jamil Demby. We had lots of talented guys. We're a senior-heavy O-line that year, so I learned from 4 very talented seniors. And didn't redshirt that year. I started 1 game, played in 6 or 7 others, and learned a lot. And then 2018 at the University of Maine, I was a full-time starter and ended up going to the FCS national semifinals that year. We won the CAA, and I was named CAA all-second team. And then 2019, we ended up having an okay season. We finished at 500. I think we were 6-6, and then I made the switch to tackle, offensive tackle, and ended up being first team all CAA and third team All-American, and now unfortunately we didn't have a season this fall, but rumor is we're playing a 6-game schedule as long as everything holds up.
Okay. When would that be happening? Sorry, just very curious about that, since every ruling and NCAA, FCS, FBS are completely different aspects, right?
Yeah, we would start March 6th at Delaware, I believe.
Okay.
The season would end April 17th.
All right. Well, I hope for your sake that clearly happens. But as somebody who's a former student athlete in the OHSF and then moved on to Maine, it's cool to see as well that your journey hasn't ended yet. Of course, you being an All-American at that point, you are now recognized nationally in Canada as somebody who could potentially, make their way to the CFL draft and be drafted possibly in the first round even. Talk to us, about prepping for that senior year and, getting ready to be on the doorstep of the CFL and how other student athletes hoping to, emulate getting to that CFL or NFL draft can, have some advice.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I had a meeting with my strength coach last week and it's very humbling and very cool at the same time. And it's really a piece of work from kind of everyone that's involved at your school. You have to work with the coaching staff. They have to develop you. You have to be willing to be coached. Don't take anything too harsh. You will get yelled at. You will get cussed at. You know what I mean? You will mess up. Like I got pulled from a game my freshman year, because I didn't know the playbook exactly and I kept messing up. So coach took me out. I mean, you can't take that personal. You just have to let it roll off your shoulder and know that they just want the best from you. And then you have to go see your strength coach. You have to ask him for extra work. You have to do the extra work and all that. And then kind of like he was telling me last week, he said, it's all a mindset now. Once you have that success, once you're at that level, you have to just train. Even though you're not yet, you have to train and you have to treat yourself like a pro if you want to make that next step. You have to do everything they would do. You have to make smart decisions on and off the field. You have to just be ready. Any minute you could get a call and just have to be ready to go. So just having that mindset, treating your body right, taking care of yourself, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. It's extremely important, as somebody who's been through the process. I completely understand where your head's at. We took completely different routes, but nonetheless, it's something to really strive to, and it shows your combined athleticism with the ability to take care of your academics as well as your body, and continue to improve. It's the whole football player truly is important at that point. And like you said, it's coming together at the end as a piece. It's not just you; it's everybody that's influenced you to get you there. And it's really exciting to see as coaches from Ottawa high school football and even the community are looking at you, saying, "Hey, this guy's next." It's pretty sweet.
It's really like an accumulation of everyone you've worked with. Like somebody I haven't really mentioned yet is Victor Tenondo from Gridiron Academy. You know what I mean? I've trained there as well when I've been back in Ottawa, and he's a huge influence for a ton of guys across the city. And he preaches, academics first. He makes guys grade report to him, and he won't help you get recruited if you're not having good grades. You know what I mean? He runs a great facility, takes guys to camps down in the States to get exposure, and just everyone from your high school coaches to the trainers to the teachers that maybe let you retake a test every once in a while. So everyone in your path has helped you get to where you are today. So
absolutely, and you can't take that for granted. And clearly, you haven't. And I think that's amazing to see. And your gratitude and your graciousness shows that it's a process. And just on behalf of Ottawa high school football, I want to congratulate you first on being on that doorstep, but also taking that process from high school and choosing to play Ottawa high school football, and clearly your influence and your athleticism was something that was remembered by all coaches. And maybe Maine will throw you some fullback stuff this year if you keep talking to the head coach. But we'd love to see you blocking vertically downhill from that fullback spot. Although you're playing O-line now.
Hey, I did last year against Elon. I did have one carry for 1 yard.
Ooh, all right.
Needed about 2 more for the end zone, but
but hey, you know what? It just goes to show that a little bit of athleticism, a little bit of hard work. it ends up in what we have here as with the all-decade nomination and the All-American, and then the doorstep with the CFL and the NFL. So on behalf of OHSF, just want to congratulate you again on making this list. Clearly, it was no small feat. Coach Brown, Coach Castellarin, and all the other coaches, it was a pretty tough decision to come to, but they really thought that you were somebody that would deserve to be on that list, and rightfully so, based on your pathway and your dedication to your craft.
Awesome. It was much appreciated. I mean, thank you for everyone who nominated me. It's an honor.
Well, everybody, this is Liam Dobson, and this is Coach Coventry signing off. Thanks again. This is the OHSF All-Decade team, and we've just added a fullback, Liam Dobson, who's now an O-lineman, to the list. All the best, Liam.
Thank you. You too.
Take care.